just heading to the train station here in Napoli, also known as Naples, depending on where you're from. It seems like most of Europe calls it Napoli. Americans more go for Naples, so just so you know, if you hear it referred as either of those names, it's the same place. Today, we are gonna go to Pompeii. Pompeii is like this old city that used to be, well, it is still technically at the bottom of Vesuvius. So when Vesuvius erupted, it covered everything, and there's a bunch of like basically really well preserved like bits of history there now because of the eruption at Vesuvius back then. So it's supposed to be really, really interesting and moving. I'm super excited about it. I don't have my ticket yet, so I'm hoping that's not going to be a problem. I read online it should be fine. So it's going to be an interesting adventure today. But first, I need to catch the train. Okay, so when you get into the train station, you can either use the machines over there, which frankly are confusing, so just go to the Biblioteca. It's the ticket office. Tell them where you want to go. They will just sell you the ticket. It's a lot easier. From there, there's a screen just behind the Biblioteca. It'll tell you what track you want to be on. So for us, for Pompeii, we want to be on track number 6. And hopefully we have like a good 20 minutes before the train leaves, so I'm going to attempt to get an espresso somewhere. So pro tip, if you're going to Pompeii, the train station's like right there, and if you go just right across the street to that little like brown awning, that's where the espresso is. And they do it to go, so if you're in a hurry, you get it to go, and you'll be able to get your coffee. So we made it to the Pompeii Scavi station, and now we're gonna go figure out how to get to like the archaeological site, which looks like it's just a short walk from here. Honestly, this is a super easy way to get here. Like, there's no need to be paying a ton of money to like a tour company that's gonna like pick you up. And I mean, unless like maybe you've got mobility issues, like then it makes sense, or if you want like a guided tour. But if you want to do it yourself and like be budget friendly, the public transit was really easy. It was like, I think €3.50 to get here for like a half-hour ride on the train. I will say it's better to get on at the station that I got on at, which was, oh, I can't remember. I'll put it in the notes below. But the next station after mine was something Garibaldi, and there was a shitload of people there. Everybody like ran to get on the train to try to get seats. A lot of people ended up standing. So get on at the station before the Garibaldi station. I'll put the name in the links below. And that way then you know you're gonna get a seat. Otherwise, it's gonna be a little bit chaotic, I think, for you to try to get a seat, especially if you're with a group of people. I'm gonna go figure out which direction to go. And hopefully we find Pompeii very, very soon. Okay, so when you get here, just go straight to the entrance. You'll see like a security checkpoint, and then just past that, there's a ticket office. That's where you want to buy your ticket. Mine was €19. If I had bought it at the train station that looked like maybe it was an official spot, they were trying to sell guided tours for like €40. Non-guided, they were trying to sell, I think it was like maybe €30. Just come here. This is the official place to buy it. Don't get, like, everybody acts like they're the ones you need to buy from. Don't listen to them. Just come straight to the location, buy your ticket here. So now we're gonna go check out Pompeii. Okay, so right off the bat, I would say wear tennis shoes, because honestly, like if you have mobility issues, you like are already gonna have a problem here. But even like non-mobility issues, there's a lot of like rocks and things that are probably gonna be slippery. Tennis shoes are gonna make the most sense. So when you come here, wear tennis shoes. You won't regret it. I'm already watching people in sandals struggling to get up this like little hill. Okay, so right at the entrance, just behind me was what used to be like a bathhouse. It was built around the 1st century BC, according to the little thing over there I just read. And it's interesting because not only did they have like a hot bath and what sounds like a sauna, they also had a cold like plunge bath. And even more interesting, in the changing rooms, they had a bunch of erotic images that people are assuming was to help them remember like which room they like left their stuff in based on the image. So it's a fun way to remember. It's really kind of fascinating that like all of this still exists, and that we were able to learn so much from it. So let's go check it out because I haven't gone in yet. So it's pretty insane. Mount Vesuvius erupted in 79 AD, and basically there was a bunch of like rock and debris and ash raining down on the city, which eventually led to it, being well preserved for us to be able to understand what the Romans were like in this time. It's thought that Pompeii was one of the richer cities based on what they found in terms of architecture and artifacts. I also read something interesting about how this is one civilization that back then was all about going out to eat for lunch. So that's kind of a cool thing that they were able to figure out. Apparently there's also a spot where you can see chariot tracks and lovers in an embrace that were preserved. I haven't been there yet, but it's honestly so surreal to get to walk around Pompeii. Sanctuary of Apollo. It dates back, well, parts of it date back to the 6th century BC. It was a place of worship. From the 6th century BC, they did put on additions. Like at one point there was a roof, fountains, statue of Apollo. That's a copy. The real one's somewhere else. But it's pretty surreal that all of this is still here. It's seriously the coolest thing. I think the only thing that's kind of annoying me is that there's like a ton of tour groups and nobody really seems to be appreciating like how crazy this is. Like I've seen a couple other people kind of like geeking out, but for the most part it just seems like tour groups that are like, you know, doing a checklist, which is insane to me because like this is just the coolest. Seriously, like you can't miss this if you come to Naples. It's like a must. So the theater here was one of the first major public places to be excavated during the 18th century, and it actually dates back to the 2nd century BC, which is kind of wild to think about. So it was built kind of like on a hill to take advantage of the natural slope, and frankly it's just awesome. I'm such a theater nerd, so I think this is like the coolest thing so far. So while you're here, you're probably gonna have to use the restroom. If you find the theater, there's a restroom just right here. So if you go down to the bottom bit of the theater and then come out and kind of go, it looks like there's another entrance over here. It's just right here. It's free entry, so that's good news because a lot of places in Europe you have to pay to use it. I'm assuming is one like family house. Everything's kind of divided off, but like you can see there's like a little like furnace there. I'm assuming maybe like a kitchen or like a dining room there. While you're here, don't miss Casa de Say. It's got one of the best preserved mosaics in Pompeii. It's really impressive. I'll put it on the screen in a second so you can check it out. This is like kind of, I guess, in the district near the theater is the best way to explain it. They do have maps, so grab a map. Casa de Cia, CEII, I think is what it was. I'll note it in the description below for you, but definitely check it out. It's one of the highlights so far that I've seen here. So this is called the House of the Orchard, and it's from the 3rd century BC. Let's check it out. Just saw is charred bread, soup with beans, walnuts, and a couple other things that are all basically little black blobs from the volcano. It's kind of insane to me that they can even figure out precisely what these things were, because honestly, looking at them, if you just saw them on the ground, I don't think you would think they were anything. So it's kind of wild to think that not only did they find them and know they were something, but then they actually figured out what they were. behind me were like VIP entrance for all of the really wealthy people to get to the Colosseum quickly and into their, basically essentially like box seats before the fight started. So now we're in one of the oldest Colosseums in the world. It's from 70 BC, which is pretty wild to think about. And it's interesting because I was reading on the description of the entryway that in 59 AD, there was a major riot here between the Romans and the Nosarians. I think I'm saying that right, I might not be. To be honest, I haven't heard of them before. I'm gonna have to do some Googling later. But basically, the riot got really bloody, really not great. And it caused the Senate in Rome to actually decree that the Colosseum here had to be closed for a decade as punishment, which is pretty wild to think about. It's also really kind of cool. I didn't realize Pink Floyd back in, I think it was 2016, actually had a concert here, which is pretty wild to think about. One of the large dining rooms, and apparently there was water that cascaded down here to cool people off, and then people could recline on the cement. It doesn't look particularly comfortable, but I'm sure back in the day it probably was. So Casa della Venere in Conceria, I think is how you say it. Again, could be butchering it, I don't know. Check that one out. Really love the artwork there. So it's about 4:30ish now. The site closes at 5:30, so in an hour. And what a difference. It is so quiet now. It's all of the tour groups have gone. It is honestly still I know I've been here for hours, but it is the most surreal thing getting to walk around Pompeii. And I think the most surprising thing for me is the art. I mean, I knew there'd be ruins, obviously, but nobody really talks about how cool all of the old art is. Why aren't we talking about this? So the last thing I want to cross off my list, and I'm hopefully going in the right direction for now, is the preserved bodies, which are supposed to be really iconic to see, but I haven't been able to find them yet. I just did a little Google search, and it's the Garden of the Fugitives, I think, is what I'm supposed to be going toward. So fingers crossed we find it soon and it's the right place. Otherwise, we might be out of luck this trip. it to the Garden of the Fugitives. It's not like I kind of expected it to be more of like a museum. It's literally just like a covering with like glass panels, and you can see the bodies of the adults and the children that were caught out in the vineyard when the volcano eruption happened. And so apparently, because of the way the ash and everything fell on them, it preserved them in a way that almost made them like statues, which is why they still look, you know, the way they do. It's pretty surreal to see and like realize that like these were actual people, let alone how painful it must have been to die that way. So they have them still here in the vineyard. I believe more or less where they found them. I think the description is a little like hazy. It was also hard to read because there's a lot of people here trying to get this in at the last second. But basically, they're more or less in the same area they were found, and this is their final resting place. You need it near the Forum. There's a first aid area. There it is. And behind me, there's like a pizza place and a couple other places to get food. Again, kind of pricey, but it's here if you need it. So whatever you do, don't miss, I don't know what this tower is called, but it's like at one end of the Forum, and it's got like this insane view. It's so gorgeous. You cannot miss it when you're here. This was such a nice like final surprise I just happened to see as I was like trying to walk out. Doesn't have a name, but basically it's like the Forum is right there, and just walk toward like the little tower and you can go up it. It's super cool. And with that, that's kind of my final little hurrah here in Pompeii. It was the perfect way to end the day. Now I'm gonna go hopefully catch the next train. If not, I might be having dinner here and catching the later train. Time will tell. coming back from Pompeii, just go to the ticket counter. It's 3:30 again, and you'll get your ticket, validate it in the yellow machine. You'll see to go to track 2 to go to Napoli, you need to go, like, it looks like you're going to the bathroom basically, but there's also like a staircase to go down under to go to track 2, and there's a little yellow validation machine. Just stick your ticket in, it'll get stamped, and then your ticket's validated. And after that, it's just a matter of waiting for the train.
Allontanarsi dalla linea